Hello everyone. So today I thought I would try something different. I wanted to do a get ready with me. I already have my skincare on and I have my sunscreen on. I like to use the La Roche-Posay. This is one of the only sunscreens I've been able to find that doesn't break me out. I really like it. It has a nice matte finish without being dry. So the first thing I do is I use my primer spray by Skindinavia. This is one of their little travel sizes. I buy the big sizes, and whenever I buy the big size, they always send the travel size with. And then I just continue to fill this up and keep it in my vanity. So usually we'll just rub that in. And then I've been testing out this primer. It came in my February BoxyCharm this month. This is No Problem Primer by Touch and Soul. I've used it a few times and so far I really like it. It's got like a nice silicone texture to it. I usually will just pat that in. Okay, so my primer today, I'm using the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. This is in the shade F3. I've really been loving this foundation. I've hardly been using anything else since I bought this. I usually just put some dots. I have a lot of redness, hyperpigmentation. I don't have any active blemishes at the moment, but I do have really bad hyperpigmentation. Whenever I get a blemish, it will leave a red mark behind for months and months and months. So I'm using my Real Technique sponge. Ever since I discovered sponges a couple years ago, I hardly ever use brushes for my foundation anymore. Every time I do use a brush, it just looks cakey to me. And I don't know how I ever used brushes in the past and lived without my sponge. I really like the Makeup Revolution one, and Real Technique one, and I also like the L'Oreal one, the pink one. Those are my two favorite sponges. So usually I will just apply one thin layer. That's how I like to do my foundation, and then I will go in with concealer. But since I have so much redness on here, I'm going to do just a tiny bit more. But normally I would just do the one thin layer. I don't really like to build up my foundation. I like to just go in really thin. I feel like my skin looks a lot more natural if I just do a very light layer of foundation and then just spot conceal with my concealer. And then my concealer sponge that I'm using, I've been testing. I got this, I like to use the little mini sponges. I got this one from the Korean beauty website that I use, but I really don't like it. It looks like nice and, like it would be nice and fluffy, but it's a little too hard for my liking. But I will use it for a few more weeks before I go back to my Ulta. I use the little Ulta sponges. So I'm gonna use this Pro Conceal in the color, it's by LA Girl. It's the peach corrector. I've never really been into peach correcting or correcting in general, but since I've been having a lot of redness from a lot of breakouts, I was struggling with products that I was using. I didn't know they were breaking me out. I wanted to try the green corrector, and since I was buying the green corrector, I said, well, let me get a peach corrector as well and test that out and see how I like it. And so far I like it. I think it's been covering up my dark circles pretty well. I like it. I have really blue circles under my eyes. I'm really pale, so they stand out a lot more. I'm going to use my little mirror down here just to make sure everything's blended. Okay. So for concealer, I have my, this is another Korean beauty purchase. This is, what's it called? It's just called Tip Concealer by the Saem. I really love their concealers. Korean beauty, I've really been into this past year. I've made, I think, 3, maybe 4 purchases from them, and I love them. So I usually, when I do my concealer, I just do a couple dots, usually 4 or 5, but I just did 4. And then I just blend that in. I don't really use concealer to highlight my face. I only use it to correct my under eyes and then just to conceal any blemishes or, you know, redness. I don't like to put a lot of unnecessary product all over my face. Okay, let me just use my mirror real quick. Okay, yeah, that looks good. So then I will usually just conceal any redness. I use, where's my little brush? I have this little skinny fine tip brush that I use. I'm pretty sure the name is rubbed off, but I'm pretty sure this is from Coastal Scents. And so I usually will just, you know, dab the brush on, and then I will just conceal any redness that I have. And then I just pat it in. Got some redness up here. And I'm sorry if this, you know, might seem a little awkward at times. This is, you know, my first ever Get Ready With Me. Hopefully with practice I'll get better. And guys, please leave me any feedback down below on, you know, your thoughts and opinions. Constructive criticism. Okay. I think that looks good. Maybe just a little bit more right here. I have a lot of redness right here. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Yep, I'm happy with that. Okay, so then, so then to set my under eyes, I usually will use, I have oily skin, but I have really dry under eyes, so I have to use a more luminous setting powder. So my 2 favorites are, what is it called? My Hourglass. I have a palette by them, and they have like a really nice powder in there. I'll use that. Or if I don't feel like, you know, reaching for the whole palette, I will use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder. I really like this one. Again, I just use this for my under eyes. And this brush is by, what are they called? I haven't bought from them in years. Everyday Minerals, I believe they're called. Yeah, Everyday Minerals. I used to buy their mineral products several years ago. I don't shop from them too often. Occasionally I will buy some samples from them, because you can get 5 samples for free and you just pay for shipping. And so every now and then, you know, when I want to test out, I'll, you know, get a couple samples. But honestly, I'm kind of over the loose powder foundation routine, loose blushes. I'm not really into anymore, so I don't really, but they have really nice brushes. So then to set my whole face, I will use my Coty Airspun. I love this stuff. I transfer it into like a little mini, this was from Everyday Minerals, you can see the name. This was one of their products that I had years ago, but it's a nice compact size, so I transfer my Coty Airspun into here, and then, you know, I just tap it into the lid, and then this fits really nicely in my makeup drawers. Then I will just brush this all over my whole face. And this stuff is great. It smells terrible. It smells like, well, not terrible, but it smells, you know, like baby powder. But the scent doesn't really linger. And this stuff is really nice. It keeps me matte, but it doesn't, you know, keep me dry. It doesn't make me dry. I really like this one. And then if I have any like active blemishes that I need to cover a little better, I will go in with like my powder foundation, and I will pinpoint and set the concealer that way if I need to. I don't think I really need to today. That's looking pretty good to me. You know, still a little bit of redness peeking through here and there, but I'm okay with that. I'd rather Maybe I'll add just a tiny touch more. I would rather have, you know, my skin look like skin than to look, you know, like a cakey mess from covering it too much. Okay, and then I might use my little sponge to kind of smooth over my eyes just to make sure they don't get too dry looking. And okay, that looks pretty good to me. So then I'm going to use my bronzer, and I'm using the number 7 bronzer in the shade Golden Sand. I really love this bronzer. It's my favorite drugstore bronzer. And the brush I'm using, see the color, it's a really nice match for me. The brush I'm using is by Coastal Scents. It's just one of those big, I don't know, what would you call that? Those fiber brushes, I don't know. I really like to have a nice big fluffy brush when I do my bronzer. Don't mind my hair towel. I'm letting my hair dry a little bit. I always go down my neck, a little bit on my jaw. And then I just like to assess things, make sure everything looks nice and blended. Okay. So I keep looking down. This is my mirror. I just want to make sure everything looks blended. And then I will do my blush. I've been using these, I got a little hair, these, what are they called? Blush Bombs by Flower Beauty, and I really love them. This one is in Nectar. I'm going to use my, what is this, e.l.f.? Yeah, my little e.l.f. small stipple brush. You can thank Emily Noel for me using these. She's been raving about this brush for years and years, and I finally bought it a couple years ago, and I love it. I still feel like there's a hair somewhere. So this is very pigmented. You only need a tiny bit, so I'll take just a tiny little drop on my finger, and then I will blend that out on my fingers. I'll blend my fingers, and then I'll just put a couple dots on each side. I don't feel like you have to work too fast with this stuff, so that's why I can put it on both cheeks at the same time. It looks really nice and natural. And I really love this, and this color is really nice too. And then for highlighter today, I'm going to be using my Becca. I have the little small sample ones, and this is in Moonstone. This is probably my favorite highlighter. I don't know if you can see the lighting, but this is just so pretty. I love this one so much. I'm going to use my little sponge, and I just, you know, dip it into it, and then I just apply it to the, and then really blend it in. I really like my highlight to be natural. I like my makeup in general to be natural. I don't like really blingy highlight. So although Becca you can really make it intense and intensify it, but I like it to just be soft and, you know, just have like a nice soft, you see that? Just a nice soft glow. And that's my preferred method, is using the little sponge, and then I can really just push it into the skin, and then I like that. Okay, I think next I'm going to set my face with my spray, and then I'll do my shadow. For setting spray, I use the Skindinavia, the finishing spray. This is the oil control one. I shake it really good. And I do 3 or 4 spritz. And then I have my little thing that I just fan my face with a bit. Assess the skin, see how that looks, make sure nothing looks powdery. If anything ever does look powdery, I'll just use my sponge and just kind of blend it in. I mean, things don't really look powdery right now, but I'm just, you know, showing you what I would do. And then if my under eyes are ever looking really dry, like if the combination of concealer and powder just doesn't work for me, I will take this sponge and I will spray it with my MAC Fix Plus, and then I will just, you know, dab it under the under eyes, and that will take away like all of the powderiness, and it'll just look really nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my eyes. I've been testing out this Makeup Revolution Aqua Seal liquid eye primer. I've only used it a couple times, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet, so I just want to use it a few more times. It's a liquid, so you just drop a couple drops on the fingers, and then I will rub my fingers together, and then I'll just apply that to the eye. Let that set for a minute. And then I don't ever set my primer with, you know, like a setting powder or anything. I like to just blend my shadows directly into my eye primer. So today I want to use two things. I'm going to use my Tartelette in Bloom. I haven't used this in quite a while, and I'm just running errands today, so I just, you know, want like a soft, natural look. And then I also wanted to, let's see that Tartelette. I love this palette. This is one of my favorite palettes. And then I wanted to use, I've only used this once before. It's Colourpop. It's one of their supernova shadows, and this one is in the shade Juvenile. So I thought I would give that a try as well. I've only used it once before. Okay, so my brushes, let's see. So my crease brush is by Sedona Lace. This came in a boxy charm quite a while ago. Let's see what's gonna go good with this one. I like them to be complementary, but I don't want them to be like matchy-matchy. So I think I'll go in with Smarty Pants. Do that in my crease. And I usually just kind of drag it on the whole eye. I don't really necessarily just keep it in the crease. Oh, an eyelash on my face. That's probably the hair I felt earlier. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm going to take the Supernova. Let's see, I think I'll use a brush just because I'm not in my bathroom, so I can't really wash my fingers off. I use my fingers. I didn't bring like a little makeup remover or anything like that. I put a couple dots there. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to use my mirror to do this just to make sure. And I'll just spread that out with my little brush. This is another Everyday Minerals brush. I was trying to think of the name. Everyday Minerals brush. Okay, so that doesn't really blend very well. Forget what I did the first time I wore it. How I got it to look nice. I probably just used my finger, that's why. Okay. Okay, so that just gives like a very soft sheen. I don't know. Wasn't the easiest to blend out. Looks nice. It doesn't really look too patchy or anything. Just it wasn't the easiest to blend out. Okay, so then I'm going to take a look at staining my finger, so I guess it has longevity. So then I'm going to take this is Luxie Tapered Blending Brush. This came in another boxy charm. I think I'm going to go in with Leader, this dark brown in the bottom right corner. And just put that in the outer V. And then just blend that up a little bit. Not really going for anything dramatic today, just nice and soft. Okay, and then for my bottom lashes, I'm going to use another Everyday Minerals brush. This is just like their pencil brush. I'm going to go in with Rebel, this shade right there. And then I think I'll take some of this Firecracker shade, kind of matches the Colourpop shadow. I need to run that right here. Actually, this got way more color payoff than the Colourpop shadow. Okay, and then for the inner, well, it's not really an inner corner color in here, so I don't really like to use matte, but I guess I'll use the matte, the charmer up in the top. Okay, so then I'm going to do my mascara. I've been testing out this mascara. It came in my February boxy charm. This is the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. I used like one thin coat, and then I used the little this little spoolie that I have just to make sure there's no clumps and that it's, you know, nice and natural looking. So I always wipe off all the excess mascara. I really like my mascara just to be very as natural as possible, as you know, as mascara can be. Basically, I just like it to make my eyelashes blacker, and I'm not really into clumpy mascara. I don't need a ton of volume. I just, you know, like them to look black and pulled together with the eyeshadow. I'm going to use this little mirror to do this real quick. I do just one thin coat. And then actually looks really good. I don't even need to use this spoolie. So I like this mascara. It's nice. Yeah, it doesn't flake. It's not clumpy. I like that. Yeah, that's nice. So I've used this one maybe like 3 times so far, and I really like it. And then for my bottom lashes, I use Maybelline Lash Discovery. It's got a really nice little mini brush. And I really, really like this one. I don't know why I closed the mirror. I still need it. I actually only just recently, in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 months or so, started wearing bottom lash mascara. I never used to wear it. And now I can't believe like what a huge difference it makes. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but it really does just make such a difference. I really like it. All right, so the last thing is going to be lips. I'm gonna use, first I'm gonna put on my chapstick, my Burt's Burt's Bees is just a clear chapstick. And then I'm going to use my Colourpop lippie stick in the shade Gold Digger. Yeah, Gold Digger. It's just a really nice neutral pinky mauve color, I guess. Guess I'll just use my little mirror again. And these can dry, they're creamy, but I like to use just a little bit of chapstick on top just to make sure that it's nice and moisturized. Okay, so that's the finished look. I'm gonna go do my hair and I'll be right back to show you the finished look. Hi guys, so I'm back. It's been a little less than 15 minutes. I just did a couple minutes with my diffuser and then just clipped the front of my hair back into like a little bump, and then I'm just letting the rest air dry. I did touch up the eyeshadow a little bit. I figured out the trick to it. Rather than using my finger or a brush to blend it out, I just did a couple swipes and then I used the doe foot applicator to kind of, you know, blend it out. I think that looks much better than before, definitely less patchy. But anyway, so this is the finished look. Thank you guys for getting ready with me. I hope this wasn't, you know, too awkward. If you have any suggestions or any comments, please leave them below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.